I don't know. I thought I heard somebody, but
Okay, welcome everybody. If you don't know who I am, my name is Cord Medeiros. I'm with QRSE, and today we're going to be talking about Autodesk Construction Cloud, and this is the contractor onboarding. This is session 3 of the series. Okay, so yes, I see your comment. Yes, if you can't access the test project, send an email to at the bottom here with econ@qr-se.com, and we will specifically go in and help you out with your specific account. But so let's get started. So we're in a transition. HDOT is in a transition period. We're moving from Faxware to Autodesk Construction Cloud and also Headlight combined. But for now, today we're going to be talking about Autodesk Construction Cloud and simple functionalities that you'll have to use on different HDOT projects. So today's session is session 3 with contractors. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is general navigation of the software and the system. If you could mute your mic if possible, but thank you. The next thing we're going to talk about is files and documents. So how to upload documents, how to upload files, and you can send things in for review and things like that. It's kind of different from Fax in that regard, so you'll be able to see that. Then we're going to go into issues and forms, then RFIs and submittals, the workflow of those, how to submit those things, how to create them, and then finally new additions or new modules that Fax didn't have, and which is meetings and schedules. So I wanted to mention we have Econ office hours every Thursday from 8 to 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. So if you come out of this onboarding training a little bit confused, you have 2 options. Number 1 is to contact econ@qr-se.com, or you can come to our office hours every Thursday from 8 to 9 a.m. If you need a link, please contact the econ@qr-se.com. So without further ado, let's get started. So if you sign into your Autodesk Construction Cloud, so if you go to the link that I will send you, and also I have sent to you before for the activation link, if you go in and you sign into your account, you're going to come up with this screen called Project List. So this is all the projects that you are on that you have been added to. So if you've been added to a project, you'll be able to see it on your project list. So if we go into our test project, most of you have access to this test project. So it is called H.Test Project. Everyone that was in Fax, so if you were in Fax before, you got a link to this H.Test Project in Autodesk Construction Cloud. So if you currently don't know where to find it, or if you don't have an activation link, please send an email to econ@qr-se and we can help you then. But to look for the project, the first thing is simple functionality of the system. So if you click at the top left-hand corner of your screen, there's a drop-down here. What you're going to see is Autodesk Build, Autodesk Documents, and Autodesk Insight. So you're going to see these 3 things as a contractor. Contractors are not going to be project administrators or account administrators, so you will not be able to see these 2 tabs right here. You will be able to see Autodesk Documents and Autodesk Build and Autodesk Insight. For now, we're going to focus on Autodesk Build and Autodesk Docs today. But this is the left drop-down that you'll be able to switch from Docs to Build, and we'll get into the differences a bit later. Right next to that drop-down on the right of it, you'll be able to see the H.Test project. So this is the project that you are currently on. So if you click on this drop-down, you'll be able to search different projects that you're a part of, or you can scroll down the drop-down and you can see all the different projects that you're a part of. In this case, I'm an account administrator, so I'll be able to see all the projects for H.Dot. But in your case, you'll be able to see the ones that you are a project member on. So if you scroll down here, you can go and navigate through your different projects. In this case, you'll be able to scroll down. If you scroll down on the dropdown, you'll be able to see the H.test project here. And if you click on it, it'll come to this screen here with Autodesk Build. And this is your home screen. So this is your build home dashboard. This will show an overview of the project. It'll show weather, it'll show quick links to your sheets, members, it'll show the progress of the project. It'll also show whatever somebody has done in the project, the latest different activities that they do. And then this is really important. At the bottom left side of your screen, there is a work status. It'll show your assigned work, and then it'll show project assigned work. In your case, as a contractor, you want to generally look for your assigned work. So a lot of times if you're assigned a submittal, if you're assigned an RFI, if you're assigned a form to review, it'll be generally here if it's in your ball and court. So this is a quick way to get there. This is the home dashboard where you can see an overview of the project. So the next tab I wanted to get into is Sheets. So in the first video that we have, it's on the wiki site, and also I can send you folks a link after this training is over. But there's a link that explains basic training from Autodesk Build that has all of these sheets information. So this is a place where the project can keep their sheets. And if you are interested in further looking at sheets, then you can go reference that video. I will not be taking time to go over sheets today, but please check for the follow-up email after if you're interested in learning about Autodesk Sheets. So the next thing I want to talk about is files. So this is one of the big things that you as a contractor are going to have to keep track of and have to look at. So there's two ways to get to files. The first way is to go through Autodesk Build and go to the left modules window and go to Files. However, there's a second way to do this. If you go right above Build and go into Documents right here, you click on it, you'll also get the same thing, and you can go to Files right here. So two ways to get to your files, but it's the same destination, and it's the files right here. So the first thing, obviously, how do I upload a file? So there's a top left-hand corner, there's a button right here that says Upload Files. You can either drop it from your computer. So you can go in here, put it from your computer. It'll upload, initialize, then it downloads to the system, and then processing. What that means is that the system inside Autodesk Construction Cloud is taking into consideration what is it so that you can click on it inside of Autodesk Build and not have to download it externally. So once it says it's uploaded, it's pressed done, and then you'll see it at the bottom of the screen. It's going to upload, and then it'll upload to the project files. The second way of uploading, you can also drag and drop your files into here. So you can also drag a file, drop it into here, and then it'll upload it to the project files. So specifically as a contractor, the file that you're going to have access to is what's called general file. So anything that you need to put into this file is going to be in the general file here. So it's going to be over here if you need to drop something in, if you wanted to create a file, if you want to create, if you want to drop a PDF in here, then feel free to do so. This is your file that you can put things in, and I'll show you the different right-click capabilities that you can go through for Build. So let's say you have a file here that you wanted to upload into Autodesk Construction Cloud. So this file, you wanted somebody to see it. So you right-click on this file, and what you can do is you have all these different options. Number one, you can publish it to the sheets, which most times you will not do. You can open it in the browser and it'll open a new tab, and it'll open it in Chrome or whichever browser that you're using. You can copy it over to another folder. You can rename this file. You can lock the file so that other people cannot see it. And you can also, the two main important things is submit for review and create transmittal. So the first thing I'm going to go over is to submit for review. So if you have a document that you need an engineer or somebody else or anybody to review, you don't just want to upload it into the files and then just leave it there, because the engineer may not be checking for their files in this general folder. So what you want to do is you want to go in here, click the file that you want to, excuse me. You want to right click the file that you want to send for review and then press submit for review. Then this will pull up an approval workflow process. So right now you want to use test step 2 group. This is just a simple workflow that you're going to send stuff through. And then you have the review name. So you can put test. Sure. So you can name the title here, have the workflow, and then you can see the file that you're submitting for a review. And you press submit. Then you come over here and you can select to notify a reviewer. So if you want somebody to review this document that you saw, put it in here, type in the name, and you'll be able to click on it, and then it'll send. If you wanted to notify any other project member, so this is everybody in the test project. If you want to notify somebody, say, hey, I'm submitting this document, I'm sending it for review. Here's the way that you can do it. So you can notify other people, you can send a message to somebody, it'll send them an email saying that this person has sent you some document to review. So in most cases you'll press send, but I'll press skip. What that review will do is it'll go to the review tab on the left, and it'll show up right here. So it'll show up for the next person's. Right now it's set up for this specific project, it's set up for Blaine to see it just because it's a test project. But obviously in your own project, the way your engineer is going to set it up is that he can set it up so that he can send different reviews to different people. So, but like I said, that second step for the notifying people, you can also notify whoever you want that you're submitting that document for review. So if you go into the reviews, here's all the reviews that people have to look at. So the engineer can go in here, take a look at your review. So first of all, I started off the review. This would be you in this case. Then somebody would be reviewing it. This is the person who's reviewing it. And once that person reviews it, it'll go to final review. It'll go to a manager of the project. Then that manager of the project will close it out, and then they'll notify you that it's either approved, it's either acknowledged, there's a comment. So this is just a quick and easy way to send something in to someone that you want to notify of a document, or if you need comments on, or if you want to approve it. There's specifically the submittal modules for all different submittals, so I will show that to you later. But this is just for files that perhaps you want a quick review of. So in some cases, they'll also have where an engineer from the consultant side or from the HDOT side will also send you something to review. So they'll be on this side, they'll be the initiator, and then you'll be able to come here and you'll be able to review it as well, and then make note of it, approve it, or whatever. So this reviews tab is very powerful. It's very easy to use. You just right click and you press submit for review. You can send it to whoever you want, and then they can go in and approve it. So this is with any file that comes with that you can see in here, any file. So if you want this file, you can right click and submit it for review, so on and so forth. The second option is to right click and create a transmittal. So similarly, if you need somebody to check something really quick and you don't need an approval or rejection, or you don't need that type of thing, you just need somebody to see it, you can right click it here and you can press create a transmittal. It'll basically just create a record of who you're sending it to and where it began. So if I create a submittal, it has the automatic title right here of the document. It has recipients. I can send it to whoever I want. I can send it here. I can have the view permissions, so recipients can only see it themselves, or if they can all see it. And also it shows you the file that you're also creating a transmittal for. So you can also create a message in the transmittal if you want if you want to notate anything on this transmittal, so when people see it, so you can go and press create, and then it'll go to right under the reviews. There's a transmittals module that you can see as well. So if you click below, transmittal sent, this is an example one. Transmittal sent, if you send it in, you can download it as a zip file with the details as well. So it'll show you, hey, Cord started this, or Cord started this up here. He submitted one file, and then the recipient of this can be multiple people, or it can be one people. It'll keep track of who sees it. And then you'll be able to download a zip version of all of the files or download that one file. So there's two things to keep note of: reviews and transmittals. Transmittals, if you don't necessarily need an approval, or if you need or if it's going to get rejected, this is just so that you can send it to people, so that you can notify them that something has been sent. Because like I said before, if you just drag and drop and upload something into the files module, so if we go back to the files module, if you just go in and upload something here, the engineer will not be notified. You need to take a next action step and either submit it for review or create a transmittal. If you just want to upload something and you don't need people to see it, then obviously just uploading it here, and that's fine. And then people won't need to see it. But obviously project administrators, the engineers, will all have access to this file. So please keep that in mind. Let me check if there's any questions so far. Okay, great. You're able to access it now. Does the reviews and transmittal folders replace eSign for document approvals?
I can answer
Not-
that one for you, Cord.
Yes.
There are some things that contractually need more than an approval. And so at this point, Build does not have that contractual e-sign. We are going to have some documents that go through Headlight, like the pay apps and change orders and things, and those will be able to use a similar to e-sign process, but stay within the system. So you won't have to export your pay app or your change orders. It'll stay within the system. But within Build, the approval is basically the same as an approval that you would get in fax. It's date stamped and it has an audit trail, but it's not technically a signature.
Then also something to note, if you want to take it outside of the system, if you want to take a file outside, all you have to do is right click and click download source file, and then it'll go to your download and it'll go to your local hard drive. That is where in some cases you can download it. If you have an Excel, maybe you want to, or if you have a fillable PDF, you want to turn it to Excel or vice versa. You can do that by downloading the source file, right clicking here, download source file, take it out of the system, have somebody else go and edit it, and then come back, upload it, if that's what you'd like. If there's no other questions, let's move on. So that's files. If we're going to go back into Build now, and once again, press the left drop down to go from Build to Documents. Documents, just all documents basically has, that's different from Autodesk Build, is the transmittals and reviews. If you need to see a review or transmittal, you have to go into Autodesk Documents. If not, everything else is going to be inside this Build dropdown right here. It has a lot more modules that we're going to use. But the next module we wanted to talk about is issues. So the way the HDOT is going to use issues is as a deficiency log. So it can either be as a deficiency log or just regular issues that come up on the project. So as you can see, there's like BMP deficiencies. There's all different types. So if you click the settings on the top right-hand corner, you can go into types. You will not be able to create new types, but if you would like a new type, then please contact your engineer or project administrator. I'm sure they can do that for you. But there's different types of issues that you can use. But the most important thing for you guys is how to create an issue. So the first way to create an issue is to click the top left-hand blue button from here. and you can create an issue where you enter a title, you enter status, open if it's pending, if someone's reviewing it currently, or if it's closed. In most cases, it'll be open, pending, or in review. Then the different type here. So there's all these different types. Currently, if you don't know what type, if there's not a type for you, then you can just put general. But if there's an issue that you want to talk about, you would put it in the issues section here. And so you can put the type here, you can describe the issue. You can assign it to certain people on the project. So you can press it and then they'll get a notification of, hey, there's an issue here. This has been submitted by this person. There's a location, due date, start date, there's a placement, a root cause, and more. So once you do that, you press create, and then you'll create your own issue. It'll have the issue on the right side over here, as you can see. Excuse me. Issue 29, as you can see over here. Type, location, everything that you put in when you created the issue will be on the right side of your screen here. So you can also, something to note, you can also put watchers afterwards. So if you initially create an issue and then you want somebody else to go and see it, all you have to do is you go in here and you select watchers, and it'll pop a drop down where you can go and you can select people that want to see it. So what is a watcher? It's basically a person that will be able to see and view the issue and will follow the workflow, but will not be able to edit anything in that workflow. So he won't be able to change these different issues or the different details of the issues. What's really important in build, and I'll talk more about it in submittals, RFIs, but referencing things in build is really, really powerful. And it's really easy because all you have to do is you have to go to the references down at the bottom, and you can reference anything from the rest of the project. So it'll all be connected. So if you had a photo from a project or from an issue that you see on site, you can take a photo, download it to the photo section here. You can put a photo here. And then every single time you open this certain issue, this particular issue, you'll be able to see it right here as a reference. So that way you don't have to go and you have to open two screens. You have to search through photos, then you have to search through the issues to find the two that are matching. All you have to do is reference it one time, reference that photo, and every single time you click this issue, it'll reference this photo. So be able to see it right here. And same goes for the rest of them. If you have a file that's connected to an issue, if you have a certain schedule item, if you have an RFI, if you have a form or a submittal that's connected to this issue, then that's same goes here. Another case that could happen is if an issue then later turns to an RFI, you can also come in here and press RFI. You can link it to an existing RFI that's in the system, or you can also create a new RFI based off of this issue. And when the RFI is created and you go see it in the RFI module, it'll already be connected to this issue. It'll already show a flow of, okay, it started as an issue, then it turned into an RFI, and they're linked. So that is one of the powerful tools that Build has that I want to emphasize just to keep a cleaner and more accessible project, rather than having a million screens open and sifting through different modules. You can have it all in one place just to reference. So that's references for issues. And then also there's comments. So if you have a comment on any of the issues that you're a watcher, or if you're a part of that issue, then you can comment here, test or whatever, and you can press submit, and then that person will be notified, hey, there's a comment on my issue. I can go check out, I can go reply to it, I can go change my issue based off of the comment, and so on and so forth. So is there any questions on issues? If not, we'll move along. So below issues is forms. So this is what we're going to talk about next. So here's the forms module. And in order to create a form, once again, at the top left-hand corner, there's a create form button here. I'm seeing all these forms currently because I am a account administrator, project administrator for the test project. Typically, you will not be seeing all these forms unless you created it. So unless you're a reviewer or unless you created it. But in most cases, as a contractor, you're only going to see the forms that you submitted. So if you submitted a form, you're going to see it on the drop down here. There's different templates for each project. So here's the basic ones that we have currently. But depending on project by project, there'll be different forms that people will create and put in as a template. So then that will be available for you to use. So if you go back to the forms on the left side here, you want to create a form. It's going to ask you what template you want to use. So there's a weekly lane closure request form. There is a certified payroll form. There is a BMP monthly compliance, BMP inspection. Some of these forms are not meant for the contractors. So so some of these are not meant for the contractors. So you will not see as a template, you will not have the option to create a form. So when you go and log into your account, you'll be able to see which forms you'll be able to access. And you can create a form based off of that. So let's say I wanted to create, for example, a weekly lane closure request form. So now as we transition from Faxware to Build, we're going to come up with more best practice guides and more forms that you guys can use that'll make it easier on you folks. But for now, here are some of the basic forms that you can or cannot use. There's no best practice guide yet. But as we move through the transition, we'll be sending out those best practice guides so that you can use it to your advantage. But for now, if your engineer wants you to send something through forms, or if he wants you to fill out a form, I'll just show you an example of what it kind of would look like. So create a form here, then ask your engineer what template you want to use. So right now we can do the weekly lane closure. So it'll automatically create a form. This draft is visible to reviewers. So we have the form right here, the fillable form. You can go in and type the required boxes. You can have the date that you want for your form. There's an ID within Build that's going to track what form number this is. You can select the location of where you want things to be dropped, and specifically this one doesn't, because in the template, the engineer didn't set up a specific location they want these lane closure request forms. Then you can have a description of what this form entitles or a comment. And once again, very powerful, very easy, references. You can reference a photo, issue, file, form. If this lane closure form has something to do with a photo, if you want to link it to another lane closure request form from your files or from another form that you created, you can link it here. So then you would fill it out, press submit, it'll automatically go to the reviewers that can see it. So the way that the engineers will set it up is that they'll set up a template that it automatically sends to the project admin or the reviewers that it needs to be sent out for. So specifically for a lane closure form, they have a template where it'll be sent to specific people, and you don't have to worry about submitting it to those specific people. All you have to do is press submit and then wait for the review and see what the engineer says. So then it'll be in the engineer's ball and court. So that's all you can do. You can go in here, fill out your form, submit it, and then be done and wait for the engineer. So once you created a form, you'll be able to see it here in this list, and then you'll be able to go back, edit it, click on it. You can go back, edit it, and you can see your forms. So going back, is there any questions on forms?
There was a question, Cord, but I think Kai and I answered it in the chat, which basically is if there is a special request for a certain form to be created, what would you like people to do?
Well, first you contact your project administrator. So they'll have the power to go in and create a form for you. All you'd have to do is you'd have to send either a fillable PDF of that form, or you can send the information that's needed. in that form, and they can go in and create a template. That way that when you go in and create a form, you'll have the option to use that form. So yes, contact your engineer, or if you have an idea for all projects, then feel free to send it to econ@qr-se, and we can take it into consideration.
Thanks, Cord.
All right, great. So now we'll move on to RFIs. So if you click on the drop down once again, on the left side of your screen, under forms, under photos, there's RFIs. So the first step is how to create an RFI.
Cord, we did have one more question on forms. Is it possible to upload PDF attachments to forms?
Yes, yes. So you can upload a PDF attachment as a reference, or you can also, well, you can have your project engineer create a template using a PDF, but yes, you can reference a PDF and upload it as well. And also, you can download your form as a PDF or whatever document it is as a PDF, and you can take it externally and put it to your local hard drive as well. Okay, so moving on, going to RFIs. Creating an RFI, the top left-hand corner, there's a Create RFI button. If you click it right here, the first thing you notice is status. If you want it to keep it as a draft, if you're not done with it or you're kind of thinking about it and you don't want to submit it yet, all you have to do is press draft. Then you can put a title. You don't have to put in the ball in court. You can put in co-reviewers, due dates, questions. It's just a draft. But if you want it to send it to a reviewer, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to change the status and then fill in the rest of the required fields. And then also you have the option to fill in these other fields as well. The due date. So the first thing is the type. You always want to use default RFI workflow. Your title. You can create an RFI number. It'll automatically create one for you as the next one. But if you have a specific RFI number that you would like, you put that right here. You can edit it. Then you assign it to the ball in court. Who's the reviewer of this RFI? Specifically on this project, the managers are myself, Claire, Kai, Blake, Blaine. On your project, you will have different managers, so you can choose which manager you would like to send your RFI to on your specific project. So then you click somebody, it'd be in their ball in court, and then you can have a co-reviewer. So this doesn't have to be a manager. This can be anybody in the project. This can be someone else, another contractor. You can put as a co-reviewer so that they can watch it. They can't actually approve it, but they'll be able to go in and they'll be able to watch the workflow and see how the RFI is going. And they will also be notified as well. You can put a due date, a location of where it happened, location details. This is where you'll put your question. And then if you have a suggested answer that you might think would be the best case scenario, you can put it here. Once again, references, you can upload a file. See, if you click references, you can press upload files. So you can upload an external PDF or Excel or any other type of file. But you can also reference things that are inside Build, inside Construction Cloud. Like you can reference a form, a submittal, a photo, a sheet, an issue, RFI, another RFI. So again, linking these things together and making it easily accessible is very powerful, and we want to emphasize it so that everything can be linked together. So again, you can add watchers at the bottom as well. If you don't want them to be on a co-reviewer status, you can add them as a watcher. So if you create the RFI, it'll go into this list right here, a drop-down list. Right now I can see all the RFIs in the project because I'm an account administrator. But for yourself, you will only be able to see the RFIs that you are a part of as a watcher or as a co-reviewer. Typically on a project, you are not going to be an RFI manager, so you will not be a reviewer, you might be a co-reviewer, and you might be a watcher. But if you're not those two things, you will not be able to see the RFI. So if I go into an RFI here, just a test RFI, you can see the workflow process. So if you submit an RFI, it'll say submitted by Kathleen or whoever submitted it. Then it'll go to the next step. It'll go to the manager. The manager can then go in and review it, and he can approve it. He can have a comment to it, or have the official response like right here. Looks good. Blaine put the official response, and then it goes to the last step of the manager, which will be on the engineer side. There will be a manager that goes in and can close this RFI so that it officially goes from open to close, or this person can send it back for review again. Something to note in RFIs, you have all of these dashboards available to you. You have the official response here. You have all the information that you originally put into the RFI here. So it's easily accessible and you can see it. Then there's also an activity log. It can see everything that this RFI has gone through. So who it was created by, it was created by Kathleen, all the information that they put in there, the status of it when it was initially created. It can also see when it was answered and who was answered by, the official response. If you need to track something, you would want to go to the activity log and you can see everything that this RFI has been through. Once again, you have the references down here. And then also you have any additional information that was entered originally into the RFI.
You have a question, Cord, in the chat. Do you see it?
Yeah, we currently have BIM 360. How do we merge/transmit issues and RFIs? That is a good question. So right now we're only talking about Autodesk Construction Cloud and Autodesk Docs. If you send this question to econ@qr-se.com, I can go in and I can research how the merge from BIM 360 is, because I did some BIM 360 things on the side when I was exploring this, but I'm pretty sure that we can find a way to merge some information, but I'm not sure that we can merge things such as RFIs and issues. But I will double check that for you, and I can get back to you on that. Please send an email to econ@qr-se, and I will write back to you about that. I'll double check with the people at Autodesk as well. Good question. Thank you. Is there any other questions for RFIs? It's pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. You can, it's a pretty defined workflow where you can see all the steps that it's going through. So it's pretty neat and pretty nice. So if there's no other questions, we'll move on to submittals. So here's one of the big modules that you'll be using, obviously, to create and to submit submittals. So you'll be able to see all of the submittals that you created and sent in as a contractor. However, you will not be able to see the submittals that have to do with other people. But if you yourself have submitted this submittal, then you'll be able to see it on your drop-down list here. So here's a list of all the different submittals that are on this project. There's different statuses of the submittal. So the first one is closed, then there's open, open with submitted. That means that the submittal has been submitted and it's just waiting for the manager to send it to the reviewer. And then there's also in review, there's waiting for submission. So these blue ones are the ones that would be in your ball and court. The blue one would be required waiting for a submission from the contractor. So for your guys' purposes, be aware of the blue ones, because those are the ones that we're waiting for a submission on, or the engineer would be waiting for a submission. So how to create a submittal. So you can press the top left button, create an item. You can create a spec section. Your engineer will create the spec sections that will be needed for your project, or you can create it yourself. You can create a new spec section right here at the top right hand corner if it's not there already. This way, so that it always can have a drop down and it can link to a specific spec section. You don't need to always constantly go back in there and type the whole spec section again. If you already created it or if it's already in the project, then it's really easy. All you have to do is click the drop down and click the specific spec section that that the submittal is associated with. Then there's an option for sub-spec section. There's the title of the submittal. You have a description of what the submittal is. Don't worry about package right now or template. Then the type of submittal. So just like before, there's different types of submittals. They'll all be here. If there is not, if you don't see this type of submittal on the dropdown, just use other. And then this one is assigned as responsible contractors. So who is submitting this? On your side, this is from my side. I'm a project admin. So I can assign or request a submission of a submittal, and it'll be blue right here. So if I assign it to you guys, then it'll be blue, and I have all the information here that I need the submittal. So the details of all the submittal that needs to be submitted. But most of the time, it'll be the case where you'll have to go in and you'll have to create the submittal. And then once you create that submittal, it'll automatically associate it to your name. So it'll automatically be associated to your name. You can have a priority if it's really important. You can put high. You can put different watchers on this on the submittal. So if you want other people from your company to see the process of how this submittal goes, and you can go in and you can set that up. So once that's once you create it, it'll kind of look like this. So I'm going to run through a submittal process. So if you click on a certain submittal, this is what you're going to see. So in this case, you were requested as a contractor, you're requested to submit a submittal. What you're going to do is the first thing is you're going to go in, you're going to click into that certain submittal. And the action items are these blue buttons. Always look for these blue buttons because they're the action items. But before I get through the workflow process, I wanted to show you the different dashboards that Submittal has. So first is the general information. If you created this submittal, you'll have the general information here that you already put into it, spec section, type, all the things that I just went over. However, if it's requested from the engineer, same thing. The general information will be right here. Next thing is, once again, activity log. You can see everything that this submittal has gone through. So if you scroll down, the submittal has gone through different revisions, but you can see all of the different types of activities that the submittal has gone through. And you can also add comments whenever you want through this process. You also, once again, can reference different things from different parts of the project. And then you can also, you also have, this is the main important thing. This is the workflow of what this submittal will go through. Specifically as a contractor, all you have to worry about is when it's in this first step. These next 3 steps are all on HDOT or the consultant, all on their side. That's all in their ball and court. Your ball and court is this first step right here. If you ever see that a submittal is in this first step here, that's in your ball and court. You will be sent an email notification if a submittal is in your ball and court. So you will be notified, or you can just scroll through the list of submittals, the submittal module here in build, and you can look for required for submission, or you can go and create submittals on your own as well. So how you would submit it, you'd go and you'd press the blue button, press submit. You can drag and drop a file here. So you can drag and drop any file, or you can attach from the project files. So you can actually go in, and if you have anything in the general folder that you want to put as a submittal, you can come here, go to the general folder, press this file, attach that copy. Or you can press this drop down, go to your computer. I'll submit this. It'll take some time to load, upload. It'll show right here. So that is when you know that your file is uploaded. And this is what the manager will see. Then you're going to put who you want to submit it to. So what manager do you want to submit it to? So this is not necessarily who is going to review the document. This is just the person, the manager, the document manager in this project. So it would be good to clarify on your specific project, who's the document manager, who's managing submittals, so that you can send it to that person every single time. Because what this manager will do. So if I go here and I press done, it'll be out of the contractor's ball in court. It'll be onto the submittal manager's ball in court. So then this person will go in and he'll set up who does this submittal, where does this submittal go to? Who reviews it? That's who's being sent to, or that's where the submittal is going to go. So you don't have to worry about that. That is something that the engineer will have to worry about. All you have to worry about is how to initially submit this file or submit the submittal. And then you'll see your log of right here. You'll say, okay, econ team today, put in here, he put in an open submittal, he submitted it. Now it's out of your ball in court. The only other time that you'll get it back, that you'll get this thing back, the submittal, is if it goes to the end and if you need to revise and resubmit. So if this person submits it to the person for review, it'll go through this review process. So now it's in review. Somebody's currently reviewing it. This person will review it. And for example, if it's acknowledged, if it's approved as noted, if it's rejected, it'll all show at the last step right here, and you'll be notified when that submittal is either rejected, approved as noted, approved, acknowledged. You're going to get a notification.
You have a couple questions in the chat, Cord.
Okay.
So the first one is, if the contractor submits a submittal, will they be able to track the ball in court on the HDOT side too?
Yes. So you'll be able to see, they'll be able to see it as well. Yes. So
they won't be able to see the details, so just be able to see where it's at.
Correct. Yes. So they won't be able to see the details of what's happening until it's closed, but they will be able to see who it needs to be sent to. So in this case, it's Cameron. It's Cameron Michael. So it'll be sent to him. He's reviewing it, and then once it's reviewed, if there's a step 2 in this review process, there'll be one of 2, and then it'll move on to the next reviewer, and so on and so forth. The way that Build does it is it customizes how many steps you can have. So in this case, it could be sent to 4 people. So it'll be step 1 out of 4, then 2 out of 4, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 4, until then it gets back to you either as accepted or any of the other action items.
Okay,
so
then.
I'll just
Couple more questions. So if the submittal is already created, can you edit the spec section or the pay item?
Yes. So if so if the submittal is already created, then yes, you can change the spec number. Yes, that you can change that. But it's to be determined on the pay item number. I guess Kathleen can speak a little bit more to the pay items, but specifically for spec section, yes, you can go in and you can change the spec section.
What's the next question? So as far as adding fields to these sections, we'd have to check with Autodesk. So that would be a great question to ask in a Thursday office hours, because we're just using these processes. What we can modify is the workflows, which is a question that Oliver has, is where are the workflows set up? Okay,
great question. So Oliver, the workflows are set up here. So if it's right here, if it's in the submittal manager step, and if it's in their ball in court, then you can go down to the bottom left, press edit review workflow. So once you do that, you can see here's the workflow. The first step is through Cameron. Then you can add a step if I want it to go through another person. To go through Kathleen, and then I want it to go through myself. There's unlimited amounts of steps that you can put it through, but then all you have to do is press done, and then it'll automatically populate it for you. So it'll take a second, You go up here and it automatically populates it for you. First step
Can
is
you-
Cameron, second step is Kathleen, third step is myself, and then it'll go to close and distribute.
So the question is, can you create a group? Like, can you make Highway L a group and it goes to that entire group?
No, not for review, not for a review process. So you can't do that. But what you can do is you can, if you go into the settings of submittals, you can go to review templates. So this is actually new. So Autodesk just implemented this. So you can go and you can create a review template. So basically, if you want to send a submittal to lab, you can have certain lab members all here, create the new step. If you need to send it to 2 or 3 people to get it through lab, or if you want to send it to another set of people, you can create templates so that you can just press the template name and it'll automatically send it to 3 people so that you don't have to go in and send it every single time. Or you don't have to individually add every step every single time. If you are going to send it through the same steps a lot, I would go in here, I'd create a template so that you can go in and press the template name and it'll send it to the 2, 3, 4, or just even 1 person.
And then there's a question from Marvin Chun, and I think that's up to the field office, Marvin, who does the approvals. We're mimicking the process that was in fax, and so if you want approvals done differently, the templates can be edited. We're trying to give you a basic template that works for everybody, but obviously every office can make some choices about how they want to do things.
Just to kind of give you an example, so for one of our pilot projects that we did for I was working with Kai, and Kai was engineer on the project, and I helped him out kind of as a document manager, where I would actually the submittal manager, where I would be that middle step, where I would come in here, be at this manager role, and once a submittal was submitted by a contractor, I would take this step in and I'd look at, okay, where does this submittal need to be sent to? Who does it need to be sent to? And I would create that workflow process. I'd create the review workflow, and then I'd send it to the proper people. So that is a document manager that can go in and can send it to the right people to review it. But it really depends on what type of submittal it is, and it depends on field office, really. So it's different for every project. Like Kathleen said, we're just trying to give you a baseline template to show you how to use these functions so that you can go and you can customize it yourself. So to reemphasize contractors, the main step that you need to be worried about is if someone requested a submittal for you and you have the blue line. There's no more blue lines anymore. But if there's the blue line where it's requested for submission, that will be in your ball and court. Or if you want to create a submittal on your own, if it's not requested already. As a project administrator, the administrator sets up the approval workflow, correct? Yes, correct. Okay. You as a contractor will not be able to set up an approval workflow. Okay, I think with that, we can take a 5-minute break. So it's 10:55. Please be back at 11. So see you all in 5 minutes. Thank you. Alrighty, everybody, the timer is ticking down. Please come back. We're going to start in 15 seconds. Alrighty. So we have 2 modules left. We have meetings and we have schedule. And then after that, the floor will be open to any questions that you folks have. So let's get into meetings. So these are 2 new modules that Fax did not have that we're going to be introducing to you folks. So as an engineer, sometimes I will go in here and I'll create a meeting, and I can come in here and see the meeting agenda, see the meeting notes, see the description of the meeting, see meeting attachments, see the title of the meeting, what version of the meeting it is, and who is also attending this meeting. But as a contractor, you're going to get invited to these meetings, and you would be put in this invite list. And even sometimes if you're not in build and you have someone that needs to be in this meeting, they can be invited to this meeting, and they will be able to see the agenda. Something to note for the contractors: when the engineers make the items here. So for example, this is a BMP item with number 1. You can add sub items. You can add more topics. But the thing to look out for here for contractors is the status of the items. So in meetings, the engineer will go over the different items, and they'll have different statuses. So you have to pay attention to these statuses. If they're closed, then obviously they're going to go away the next meeting. But if they're ongoing or if they're open, please keep that in mind. The engineer can also flag this item. But what's most important, the engineer can assign people to different tasks. So if this item has something to do with you as a contractor, and you need to submit it, the engineer can go in and attach different items, can reference, once again, linking all the items together, and can reference different items from build and then also outside of build as well. But one of the most important things is assignee. If you as a contractor has one of your names down here, you will be email notified. You'll be notified through email, and also it'll show up in your home dashboard as a pending assignment that you need to complete. So it's a meeting item that you have to deal with and that you get assigned to. A lot of times when watching the pilot project do it, they would have their weekly meetings here, and then every single week the engineer would assign a contractor or whoever needed who was the next action on this certain item. They can see it, they're going to get email notified, and then they can close it afterwards. So once that item gets closed, then you'll be notified, and it won't show up on your pending list anymore. So something to look out for as a contractor when you're in meetings. Once again, we're providing a baseline. So we have the option for meetings. It depends on your projects. Maybe your project won't have meetings at all in build or in Autodesk Construction Cloud. So just giving you the option, if they do choose to have the meetings here and have their agendas here, they have the option to assign you different tasks from the meetings tab. And you can go into the meetings and you can see all the tabs that you have open, and you can also reference it through the home dashboard and also meetings. So once the agenda turns into minutes, one last thing, once it turns into minutes, then you'll be sent a notification saying that this meeting has changed into minutes. This will not be editable. In the first place, as a contractor, you will not have access to edit the meeting. All you have access to is for those specific items that you get assigned. So on the contractor side, that's really it for meetings. And then let's move on to schedule. Schedule is going to be really quick. It's really self-explanatory. It's really easy. Basically, what you can do is you can import your schedules on here. So as you can see, there's the top left-hand action button, import, and you can import your schedules. It doesn't matter what format they're in. It's any schedule viewer, so, or schedule editor. So P6, project, any of the other schedule files that mostly is possible, you can load into here, just not PDFs. You can't load a PDF into the schedule because it won't take it in and translate it and process it into what it is currently. So if you take a look, if you click on one of the schedules, this is just a schedule viewer. You cannot edit anything on here. This is just a viewer. So all it'll do is it'll take the P6 file and you import it here. It'll process it, and then it's a schedule viewer for everybody to see on the project. So this way, you don't have to go in and take your P6 file, convert it into PDF so that everybody at the meeting can see it. Or in fact, you can link schedules to different modules. You can link it to RFIs, Submittal. So you can view it here and without having to convert it to PDF so that everybody else can see it. It's a common place that anybody in the project can come in here and view the schedule. So this is for contractors to go and upload schedules. And if your engineer is a project administrator, which he will be, he'll be able to see that a schedule has been uploaded. He or she will be notified. Is there any questions on anything? We got through the modules that we wanted to get through today from a contractor's point of view. So if there are any questions from the contractor side, please let us know now.
There was one question, which is that are the contractors going to be using sheets to do their as-built, or is that just on the HDOT side? Or that would be another training?
That would be another training. I don't think we have a definite answer for that right now. But yeah, that would be a different training to go in and how the best practices for using sheets. Similarly, it's close to PlanGrid. So the functionalities are very, very similar. And like I said, the details of how to use sheets it will be sent out following this meeting. I'll send it out in the follow-up email.
And you have a couple of questions on schedules. The first one is, can you see the different versions of the schedule? I don't know. Looks like
yes.
super.
Yeah. So yes. So if you click this button right here, if you upload the same schedule, you'll be able to see the version history, and you have version 1, version 2, version 3. It looks as if Build has just recently, so it has all these new features here that they've added to schedules. So once again, the best practices for all of these tools are in process. And after we get through this transition, we will nail down these best practices for you. We'll send it out for you in a PDF form or a Word document where we'll spell out for you all the best practices, how to use it, what's the best way to use it. So we will provide that for you later on. But for now, we're just providing you with a basic template as to how to use these modules during this transition period and going forward. But in the near future, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Here's another question: is have you tried importing a schedule that's in Excel?
No, I haven't.
I don't know if that would actually work.
I don't,
because Excel doesn't have. Excel's just a bar chart. I'm not sure. We can try it, but there might not be enough data for it to create a schedule. But maybe.
I can double check with the Autodesk representative, and You can either send that question
So the
to.
Excel schedules don't meet the spec. So I'm not quite sure what project they're referring to, but Excel schedules really don't meet the contract requirements. Just a side note.
You'd have to create a very, very complicated Excel file in order to have all the information there, whereas Microsoft Projects is what's in the spec.
Correct. Is there any other questions? Once again, if you want to go back and watch the recording again after I send out the follow-up meeting, and if you have more questions when you go back and watch it, please feel free to send anything to econ@qr-se.com here at the bottom of the screen. That is the email to send anything with regards to e-construction. And we have a team of people that are constantly monitoring that inbox and will help you whenever you need it. And then the second option is to go to the office hours, 8 to 9 a.m. every Thursday. It already has begun. So 8 to 9 a.m. every Thursday, there will be a Headlight representative there. There will be an Autodesk representative there. And then we will also all be there to help you solve your questions or answer your questions or solve your problems.
It's great. So do you want to talk a little bit about the migration?
Sure. So currently, last night we started our first night of overnight migrations, meaning that for all of the active projects in Fax, we set a night out where we lock everybody out of Fax at 3:30 p.m. And then the next day, we have you will have full access to build with all of the information in the projects there. So between that 3:30 p.m. to the morning time of the next day, our team is going to be moving files from one place to another and putting it into your projects, and also setting up active RFIs and active submittals. So currently, that's the process that's going on. Once the migration is over, the 3:30 to the morning time, you will have read-only access to Fax, but with everything but pay estimates and JC cards and change orders, because of those modules will be in Headlight, and we're currently working on what's the best way to what's the best interim step for you folks, and we're working out the best way for you guys to be able to use that. But in this case, whenever that one night is, you guys, the next day, you'll have full access to build for that specific project. And I bet some of you have gotten emails so far of you being added to different projects in build. Please be on the lookout for those, and hopefully you'll be in contact with their HDOT engineer so that you can coordinate when you're going to start going in and looking at all the submittals and RFIs and all the files in build.
There's a comment on how the certified payroll is going to be done. So in Fax, we did it through a submittal, but in Build, we can do it through files. So there is a way to upload a file and then send that file for approval, and then it'll end up in the file cabinet. So it doesn't have to go as a submittal anymore. So that'll be one of the best practices that we send out in the next couple of weeks.
Correct. Thank you, Kathleen. Yes.
So I think that's it for today. Cord will hang out for a bit and answer more questions, which of course there's more questions.
Yes, I can stay on with you and answer your questions further.
And anyone's free to stay on, but there's no more formal training for today.
Thank you, guys. Feel free to leave. I will be sending you out a follow-up email. Please be on the lookout for that with all of the resources and reporting link. Thank you.
Marie wants you to leave your screen on.
Thank you, guys. Oh, yes. No worries. I can turn it back on very easily.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just curious. Could you go to your screen that has sorry, I'm logged on to my BIM 360 and onto the Autodesk build, because we have build and we have cost. And I know you said to ask how can we merge like ours, because when we're administrator, we have certain approval workflow, and when we're in the DOT side, they also have a workflow. How I will ask them, but could you go up to where it says where you can look up your projects? Because it looks like you have our projects up there. It's just.
Yes.
They're secret projects.
So they're secret projects currently right now. Yes. So they're in build right now, but we haven't activated them for you yet. We haven't added you to the project yet because we're still migrating things over.
Which project is yours, Marie?
Okay, we have several one. I saw when you pulled up, there was the, let's see. I think Farrington Highway was, no, let's see. High NPS PP, that one, was that one on? There's pavement preservation.
Oh, yes, I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, they're all there. Okay, so that I was looking at it, I'm like, some of them have like similar how I have it set up. So I was thinking that you were able to access ours. And so that threw me
Not
off.
quite.
But it's actually HDOT had set that up. So how I have it set up in mine is it looks so similar that I don't know, for some reason I thought that it somehow merged, but it doesn't. And that's why
it doesn't. Yeah. So yeah, it's two totally different accounts. That's why. So we all have HDOT Enterprise, and then we have different licenses that we send out through HDOT. So through this specific project, you'll get a license through HDOT for your HDOT projects. So it's two different things. But I can definitely check on you if there's a way to like kind of merge different information. I'm pretty sure there's not, but maybe the Autodesk representative will know that better, because he's obviously explored BIM 360 and that's a whole new thing, the BIM 360, and you guys as contractors won't have access through HDOT for BIM 360, but yeah, it's It's definitely different.
Yeah, okay. Because we do have issues and RFIs that we can send to HDOT if we wanted to, but we haven't been doing it that way, only because
When
there
you-
are certain
what-
things.
When
Go
you
ahead.
mean send, do you mean, what does that mean? So can you like transfer the RFI from your module in one project to the other module in another project?
No, well, see, that's what I was thinking, but when I mean by send is that an email gets sent to like the project manager saying, hey, we have an RFI to go and open it up in our system to review and send comments. But we haven't done that yet, because that would mean that we would have HDOT be as part of our license, which we didn't want.
Right, and yeah, so this is actually, a new, different problem, because so far with these onboardings, we haven't had that issue, but it's very interesting to see how this is going to work when you have two different licenses and you have to keep it separate. So,
Yeah, because it would be nice that we could correspond without you having to see our review processes, right? And but have that RFI be sent to you and be uploaded in your system and have that conversation there.
yeah,
right?
I'll take a look into that. I'll ask the Autodesk representative. I'll ask Jared and see if there's any way to just like transfer just certain information or modules.
Well, it's
I-
interesting because it avoids double work, right? So the contractor, I
Right.
come from the general contractor side, right? And so the general contractor might have their own system that they use for their company, but then they, by contract, have to use the clients. And so, like when I was working at dredging, it was like constantly everything you did twice.
Yeah, that's, did you have, oh, you had,
Prologue.
Hawaiian dredging had a different, I can't remember what it was.
We did,
Heavy
I think,
duty? Was it heavy duty?
We used Prologue.
Pro, yeah, okay, yeah, that's one.
Yeah, but it was, and so when I did Corps of Engineer projects, and you're just entering everything twice, and it was a little bit nutty.
Yeah, and that's what I want to avoid.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that they would have a way of